and that is Connor Paterno. Good job, Connor. You got first place. Well, congratulations to you all, and thank you for your wonderful essays. Try to squeeze in somewhere.
All right, so we need a photo. So I'm going to get you guys all swept in for me if you can. All right. Mrs. Bennett, I need you to slide one way or the other. Keep going. Yeah, there you go. Perfect. Okay, on three. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Great.
And I just want to give a shout out. The partnership that we have and with Michael's leadership combined with that is amazing. And we can't thank you enough for providing very invaluable experiences for our students. Every year it just gets better and better. When you think it can't get better, it gets better. And so I'm always so impressed. It's one of my favorite things to do each year. So thank you very, very much for your partnership. And thank you, Michael, for your leadership. I think we have a presentation right now, so everybody can kind of see where the kids went and what they did during the actual days that they were there for Ag Day.
Yeah, all right.
We need to use the microphone.
Want to pass the mic along? And we're live again with sound.
Oh, so I can turn this off.
Yeah.
Something that made the AC go on or something.
Where are the presentations?
At the bottom already loaded, maybe.
Well, we have to vote anyway, right?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
So just before you do the vote.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. That's good. Yes, so the microphones, we're good to go?
Yes. we
All
are good
right,
to go.
well, President Bennett, Dr. Salins, board members, executive team, my name is Michael Page, for the record. I'm a curriculum supervisor with Queen Anne's County Public Schools, and I also have with me,
I'm Lee Bridgman. I'm a program assistant with University of Maryland Extension, and I work with the horticulture and the agriculture programs.
Good afternoon. My name is Janelle Eck McHenry, local to Queen Anne's County. Grew up here on a farm, and today I'm working for an agriculture consulting firm, and I'm happy to sponsor and coordinate the event.
and I also would like to give regards from Jenny Rhodes from the Extension Office and Jessica Clark, who are a instrumental component to the planning process. Unfortunately, they were unable to make it today, but you know, they do send their regards. All right, so we're going to start off with the purpose. We just like to give you all an update of this wonderful day. This is a day in which we bring out all 7th grade students to the 4-H park, and we kind of have orchestrated the day in a way that really exposes them to all of the aspects of agriculture within our community and throughout Maryland. And we'll go over all the various things that they learn. A little bit of background. This is a program that utilizes the Maryland Science Standards, Environmental Literacy Standards, and really is focused around agriculture. We have stations throughout the day in which we bring the students into the 4-H park and we cycle them through the various stations, and it's a lot of hands-on learning. And this year we had something really cool where we embedded a lot of career. We had a total career fair. Yep. Thank you, sir. And this is just an example of our stations, so we want to show off some of the things that we did, and Ms. McHenry is going to kind of discuss that for us.
So we only have the students for a short period of time, so we decided to do 5 stations, about 50 minutes each, and covered the broad spectrum of the industry as there's so much to offer. So first we do aquaculture. We do a lot of stuff with oysters. We get some experts in on that industry to come teach our students. Then I work with the grain station, where we talk about the decisions that a farmer makes, as we have many hats as a farmer throughout the day. We also, for the first time, did a career station this year where we had a lot of our sponsors have a table and talk about what careers they have within, because even if it's in ag, you might not be a farmer, just so they could understand the variety that's available. We also have a farm animal station where they learn about genetics, and then they get to interact with these animals and learn one-on-one what they consume, and with 4-Hers who are having these as youth projects. And then lastly, they also go through food safety and pollination as their final station throughout the day. So very thankful for the sponsors we have, in addition to those who have helped make our stations more interactive, as we are not teachers and we understand the curriculum, but working with those that are experts to provide this material to the kids effectively.
And I did just want to give a shout out for the career station and the grain station to our career coaches, Betsy Ricketts and Karen Hansen and Connie Dean. They were all here.
You were also here.
Thank them for their work this year and helping us.
So as Janelle said, it takes a lot of volunteers and help to put this together. And this is a picture of a lot of our volunteers, but I know a lot of us didn't make it either because we had some pretty tight schedules. So, and a cow and a horse.
Right.
So that's the important part, right?
Yeah.
So I gave you a handout that's got a list of all of our sponsors, and it also includes those who collaborated, farms who might have brought animals. We have a lot of 4-H kids that bring their animals and love to talk about them. So, and every year, I think we had over 100 volunteers this year. So I think it's bigger and bigger, and which is good.
All volunteers, so all of these individuals take 2 days out of their lives to come and showcase agriculture. So that's a huge applause to them for all the hard work that they do.
And this is just showing some of our sponsors on the banner that we have this year. Again, they're on your list, but we couldn't do it without them because we do have expenses associated with getting the kids out there for the day. And we appreciate, of course, the school board's help on that as well, and as well as giving us a day to do it.
So this is the essay contest that we just discussed. So we want to just show you what that looked like in terms of, we pushed this out to the schools, and they do a wonderful job of getting our students to really showcase what they learned that day. We also use this information for our grant writing. So when we're looking for funders, we kind of utilize this information for showing them what really the impact of our day is. And so it's a great example of that. And
I need to give credit to the FFA this year too.
Oh, yes.
We forced them to teach some of the pollination, and they did it, and they did great, but they are a huge help for the day. So I wanted to make a special mention of
Very
them.
good, very good.
So,
Yes, and Mr. Stokes and his class and organization. All right, and so this is, again, these are some of the questions that we ask in regards to what kind of impact are we having on the students. And again, this is also utilized for us to understand how well we're doing, and also utilized, again, for communicating to others like that we are creating an impactful day for the students. So 42% of students feel that they have more than average or great deal of knowledge in regards to agriculture. That's our whole premise of the day, is to start to get students to really realize what is agriculture, how does it affect their lives, and so on. And then again, another success, this question is really regarded as, does agriculture affect your life every day? And you know, we drive past the fields with the combines in there, the people working, and we see them every day driving to work through our community. And really, you know, it does affect our lives every day. And those people out there working are a huge part of who we are as Queen Anne's and the food that we eat here. So in conclusion, there is a video link that we invite you to view. This is about the day. It is from, I believe it's from 2022, but it's a great way to show exactly what the day looks like. I want to thank everybody involved in terms of the Agricultural Awareness Committee and all their hard work. We're really excited for this day every year. We're excited. We're already starting to plan it out, you know, going forward. So we want to thank all of you for your support. Thank you all for your time. And, you know, it's just an overall great day. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
you all have any questions.
You know, I actually do have one question. If somebody wanted, on their farm, wanted to go from traditional farming to organic, how many years does it take to transition? Is there a set number of years?
For land, it's going to take a full 3 years to transition from a commercial operation to organic. Animals take about 1 year for that transition to occur.
Okay, great. Thank you. Thank you for that. That's awesome. Thank you.
Thanks.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, for those of you that are watching, we had some sound issues, but now we have the sound back, which is why we kind of went out of our order. And so we did have ratification of some of our contracts, and so I want to thank everybody, the negotiating team, the board, everybody that put all this time and effort in to make this a 3-year contract for everybody. So that's a great thing. And so now can I get a motion to ratify the certificated Unit 1 contract?
So moved. Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Can I get a motion to ratify the support Units 1, 2, and 3 contracts?
So moved. Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Great, okay. I believe we're back on track, and we can start with board involvement.
Mr. Tolley's next, I'm sorry.
Oh, is he?
Yes. Career Center.
Oh, yes, Mr. Tolley, I'm so sorry, y'all. And I'm looking at Connie, and I'm looking at y'all, and glossed over. My apologies.
Can I use this mic if I turn it down? So, or do you want me here?
Oh, you're not asking me. I'm assuming,
Yeah, you can turn that
yeah,
on.
okay.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. My name is Adam Tolley. I'm Supervisor of Career and Technical Education, and we are here tonight. I'm here with my wonderful team, and we are here tonight to officially, formally recognize the grant that established our career centers and gave us the ability to hire our career coaches. And in a second, I'm going to turn it over to Ms. Connie Dean, who is the coordinator of workforce development that we work closely with. I have my 2 wonderful career coaches, Karen Heston and Betsy Ricketts, with me here tonight. Connie will give you some more information on this grant, but we are very fortunate to be able to get the grant. We want to recognize our partnership with Queen Anne's County Department of Economic and Tourism Development. We have Mrs. Heather Tonelli here tonight, who is the director of that department. So without their support, the support of the Upper Shore Regional Council, where the grant originated from, Queen Anne's County Commissioners, Dr. Salins, the Board of Ed, none of this would happen. So we're going to do sort of a quick recognition by numbers that the coaches will go through, but Connie's going to give a bit of an overview of the grant, so I will turn it over to her.
Good evening. We appreciate this opportunity to share with you the progress of our Career and Workforce Development Initiative over this past school year, often called the Career Centers Grant for short. This 2-year grant is a direct outcome of the strong partnership between Queen Anne's County Public School System and Queen Anne's County Economic Development. I have to stop and thank Dr. Salins and Adam Tolley for helping make that partnership happen with us. Back in 2022, Adam Tolley and I collaborated to secure a grant to provide resources and dedicated staff for a career center at each high school. This would involve, among other things, strengthening and expanding connections with our local businesses and providing career awareness and career exploration opportunities for all students. We want to take a moment to thank Upper Shore Regional Council for their support. Under the direction of Susan O'Neill, their generous grant allowed us to implement this endeavor. Through the grant, we've been able to hire a dedicated career coach and establish a career center at each of the 2 high schools. And the 2 career coaches are next to me. Karen's at Kent Island High School and Betsy at Queen Anne's County High School. These 2 positions have been key in establishing daily career development focused interactions with students and providing a direct contact at the schools for businesses who want to be involved with any of the career development programs in place. In just the first school year, with our career coaches and career centers in place, services from this initiative have reached 1,835 high schools, students, and 1,615 middle school students. The initial focus for this first year was on high schools, but as you can see, have already extended initial career coach services to our middle schools also. The other piece is that you'll see that 100 at the bottom of the screen, 129 local businesses have had direct involvement with numerous career programs and events that we have in place this year already. I'm going to let Betsy and Karen now share with you in a very brief overview of the many things going on, some of the accomplishments that have happened during this 2023 to 24 school year.
So the first thing we wanted to touch on was the partnership with USRC, so Upper Shore Regional Council. Through their equipment scholarship, we were able to sponsor 39 students through 9 pathways. So we were able to purchase them boots, gloves, welding helmets, muck boots, eye protection, yeah, things like that.
Another update since we were here last is we've been designated as both high schools are Purple Star schools, and Betsy and I are acting as the military family liaisons. So we are actively working this summer to stand up Purple Star clubs, and we already have student, what do we call it? The inaugural student groups standing up the clubs at both high schools. So we're very excited about that.
So between Queen Anne's County High School and Kent Island High School this year, we had 299 students that participated in the work-based learning program at the high schools. So these students left and they went and got hands-on experience out in our workforce.
And we have 3 students that graduated with apprenticeships, all 3 completing well over the 450-hour requirement, and they're all 3 placing into culinary after, well, they've graduated high school this year, so they're all 3 placing in culinary positions or school. This one? Oh,
Yeah.
okay. There we go.
All right. So we had 12 field trips this year to local businesses. That included trips to Gillespie and Chestertown, or PRS Guitar in Stevensville.
And even a couple of one-on-one or very small group, 2 to 3 students going out to see the airport, a yacht sales broker, and other places that wouldn't necessarily be able to hold a large group, like Marty Brown Racing right off Ruthsburg Road, took a one-on-one student tour.
Yeah, so the
Twice.
field trips, yeah. So the field trips, they range between 1 student going to up to 60 students going.
We put on 8 career fairs across middle schools and high schools, inside the school system and outside, with partnering with Rotary Club, Regional Expo, and various other groups. It was a whirlwind.
So at some of those career fairs, in addition to one-on-one, we were able to reach 309 students through mock interviews.
Some of the fun field trips that we did, we partnered with Junior Achievement this year, even more than last year, and they invited us to the Leadership Academy. So this was our first year going. We were able to invite high school students to go, and again, they got headshots. They really felt heard. The the mayor of Easton was there, and she interacted with every student that was present. They got to meet local businesses, even some from Queen Anne's County because of Connie. So that was fantastic.
This year between the 2 high schools, we had 396 sophomores. They went on a career awareness tour at Chesapeake College. They were able to tour the trades programs. They were able to do, they had a nursing tour as well, or a health tour, health professionals tour. And again, with Connie and Adam and Chesapeake College, they made that possible. So that was really amazing.
Oh, that one. First one's your baby. Go ahead.
So we had, this year, we had 6 testing days at both high schools. And through those 6 testing days, we had 194 students earn their learner's permit with a 100% success rate.
And then again with Junior Achievement, we took the middle schoolers out to Junior Inspire, so that's 8th grade participating in the most hands-on career day I have ever seen. They're actually cutting a large gauge wire in that picture. it was much more difficult than I ever thought it would be.
And behind them is a horse.
Yes,
So,
there
yeah,
is a
there's-
horse straight right off the corner, and a boat from the Coast Guard. And NASA was there with robots. It was amazing. And then also with JA, we were able to do Finance Park with 7th grade, which hearing 7th grade students realize that cell phones aren't free and kids cost money was priceless. So now Adam.
Thank you. And this is the last slide that we have. And again, I want to thank everyone, for participation and what they have done. As you can see, we've had an amazing year, and we're looking forward to making next year even more amazing for our students, and just some, inaugural activities, the MBA testing, and the list goes on and on. It's just been an amazing year, and it wouldn't happen without the partnerships, like I mentioned, our wonderful partnership with Heather and Connie's office, and their office actually put this slide show together, which looks amazing. But just this slide is just kind of a highlight. Our CTE teachers get a lot of credit for this. Our trades enrollment is maxed out this year. It's doubled. The interest has doubled in the past couple of years. We had 50 students that signed up for welding this year, unheard of, and I haven't heard that number in any other district, to be honest with you, even in the bigger districts. 48 students that signed up for carpentry. Just absolutely amazing numbers, and it's not attributed to one factor. It takes a team to do those things, and so we're just very proud, and as you all know, I could talk all night, but I'm going to end it there. Super proud of what the coaches have done, what Connie has done, and again, wouldn't happen without the support of everyone. So thank everyone.
That's amazing, Adam, for your I do want to say I've heard a lot of comments about the career coaches in a really positive way throughout the community, and of course thanks to Heather and Connie and Adam for spearheading this, but really good stuff. Although I have a question about the full to capacity, so do we have a plan?
Working on it.
All right.
A lot of it's connected with making our partnerships with Chesapeake College. We're
Okay.
actually looking at lots of opportunities, if you want to speak to that, but like welding, looking at taking a course of the welding as dual enrollment at Chesapeake College, and then working with placements and related jobs. So.
Yes, yeah, Matt Evans and I have met with Chesapeake several times. We're working out the courses. They're going to do a dedicated course for us, for high school students, which they have never done. Matt has helped secure transportation through Queen Anne's County. Yeah, so we're really trying to get those opportunities for the kids. If we can't get them in our programs, we're trying to get them that experience. So
Great.
it's an exciting time.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Thank you.
That as
Thank
well
you
as
so
adding
much,
career,
ladies. Thank
even
you.
adding career pathways there. So,
Yes, absolutely.
yeah. But if you don't mind, I would like to say that having been in the school system and for a long time, it's been really exciting to witness the dedication of the two career coaches. It's just been perfect. And the excitement, though, among the students, staff, educators at the schools, and the businesses. It's been just about the whole initiative in general. So it's been pretty exciting.
Awesome.
Thanks.
Thank you. All right, let's go ahead and move on. We are on board involvement now, correct? All right, anybody want to start?
I'll go.
Okay.
Not sure how it's June, but
Yes.
just want to say congratulations to all the graduates, and then to the rest of the students, enjoy your summer. It sure went quick.
Well, did quite a few things in May. Was a busy month, but the one thing that stood out to me was our budget hearings. Yes. I attended the one in Centerville, viewed both Stevensville and Summersville, and I thought it was very respectful. People spoke from passion, from their heart, and what we needed to do and how we were going to get there. But we got some problems. This county is very generous and has given us $7 million over maintenance effort. That's a 10% increase. That's not sustainable. We're trying to meet our blueprint obligations, but if the state does not step up, it's not going to happen. And I appreciate everybody and the way they handled themselves, board members, Dr. Salins, and everybody that attended these meetings. The commissioners are not our issue. The state's our issue. And if we don't have people the Teachers Association, and citizens that were passionate at these budget hearings, talking to our state legislators and over in the state for this, we're going to be in the same boat, not being able to honor contracts, having the issues with not being able to fund positions. It's going to happen. And I don't mean to be doom about it. We can get through this, but it's not going to be next May and say, because this board has worked very hard on a budget and we knew this was coming. Nobody listens until it happens.
Right.
And it's going to happen again. So you better get to the state, because I am very thankful that the commissioners, the taxpayers, gave us $7 million. In 3 years, that's $21 million. This is reoccurring. This is not a one-time thing. This is they've committed this for, in 10 years, there have to be a $70 million increase. We better wake up. Thank you.
No, thank you. And by the way, the session starts in January. So if you want to go speak, starts in January. On a more positive note, I want to reiterate also just the graduates. It was wonderful going to both graduations, and I hope everyone has a very safe and wonderful summer.
Like everybody else, it's been a very busy May. So along with the commissioners' meetings that everybody talked to, graduations at both high schools, those students were just wonderful. I also attended the Churchill Blue Ribbon flag raising.
yes.
That was awesome. That was fun. Lots of good food. But that was an activity. I also was asked to participate in a Maryland Read session with our county to start looking at other ways that outside of our school district, our community, can come in and help us with education of our students. And so I've committed to try to make as many of those meetings as I can and provide input. So that's where we are.
Okay, Dr. Salins.
Yes, I also want to say congratulations to our graduates, 2 picture-perfect days at graduation, for sure. I mean, it was wonderful. And just an overall thank you to all of our staff members. We've had a great year. As we conclude our year, thank you for everything that you do for our students to be successful. Everything you do indeed does make a difference. I do want to take an opportunity, though, to address a couple of misconceptions I feel that are in the community. So as everyone well knows, we've been through the budget process. Mr. Smith just alluded to the different hearings that took place, and I too was very pleased with everyone being very civil, respectful, and responsible, and passionate for what's very important to all of us, which is our staff, obviously. We know that I asked for, the commissioner said, what is it that you need to make you whole for your reading specialist and math specialist, and that would be $2.4 million, because we have 24. We average the cost of a teacher to be about $100,000. We got $1.2 million. Obviously, that doesn't make us whole, so we had to go from a district perspective. And I think when we posted positions as district-wide positions, people thought that they would be housed here and that they're not going to be meeting the needs of kids. And that couldn't be further from the truth. So the positions that we will now be interviewing for, we posted the positions we'll be interviewing for. I will be making a recommendation to this board. Hopefully this board will approve that recommendation, and then we would set schedules. I don't know exactly how many. People are like, how many? Is it going to be 8? Is it going to be 10? I don't know. Every one of our staff members is paid differently because of their years of experience. So our more experienced people obviously make more money. So if we have a lot of people that fill the positions that are more experienced, we won't be able to have as many. If we have people that have less experience, we'll be able to have more. So I can't come up with a given number right now until we know who those people are, so that I can determine how many people we're going to have. But I definitely wanted to make sure that everyone clearly understands that money is going back into the teacher specialist positions. It's just going to look a little different. So a teacher specialist, instead of being at a building every single day, maybe that building doesn't have as high of a need. So maybe they have a teacher specialist there 2 days a week, and then that teacher specialist goes to another school 3 days a week. So we just have to see how those schedules fall out based on the needs of the school district. We do have Title I schools. We do have a community school. Obviously, those are higher need schools. So those are all things that are going to work out. I want to say thank you for your patience. I know this is a trying time. I know it's challenging. I know it's disruptive, and it's sometimes even a heart hurter, because you're one of those staff members and you don't, what am I going to be doing next year? Hang tight. We promise we're going to have a plan of action. It's just going to take us time. It's a process. We can't just arbitrarily say we're going to pick these teacher specialists out of the ones that we have right now. That wouldn't be fair and it wouldn't be equitable. So it is a process. I thank you for being patient and working through that process. We promise we're going to try to get everybody in a good seat on the school bus as we move forward into the next year. So that timeline will be probably, we do have a meeting later June, but we won't be ready to make recommendations because we have to go through this big process. But the board does have a meeting on July 17th. I do anticipate that we hopefully will be coming to the board with recommendations for all of the teacher specialist positions at that point, so that we can move forward with scheduling. So, thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Salins. Okay, next is our citizen participation.
We ask all speakers to keep in mind the following guidelines. Speakers should sign the roster, including their telephone number and address. Comments should be limited to 3 minutes in length. Comments longer than 3 minutes should be submitted in writing. Statements to the board should relate to a matter of general policy over which this board has authority. Comments about actions or statements of individual staff members are not appropriate for public comment and should be referred to the superintendent of schools or the board president. If you have specific questions, the board will make sure an appropriate staff member responds to your question. The board respects your desire and right to convey your message freely, but ask as a courtesy to this board and our citizens that you show respect for all. First on the list, Mr. Richard McNeil.
Richard McNeil, representing myself and the retired group. And Mr. Smith, I appreciate what you say, because in our retirement group, we are pushing for legislative to support counties. And it drives me crazy, and probably you more, when legislators mandate certain things, but they don't give you the funds to take care of that. So that'll be something else. But on behalf of the retired school personnel, we'd like to congratulate all the seniors who graduated. I can remember as a principal that is a big event, and it goes off in it, and I appreciate that. I may be off a little bit, but if I did my calculations right, a student going through K through 12 would be roughly 14,040 hours. And I think I'm off a little bit, but you can straighten me out.
Check your math and get back to you.
Okay, that'll work. And, even at a good medium salary, that would be close to $480,000 over the course of that 12 years. And, it's very much, in my opinion, worthwhile, because these are the folks who are going to be the leaders in the next generation. And, we got to make sure they're off to a good, strong foundation, and I know that's what everybody's after on that part. At our meeting on luncheon on Tuesday, and I think we've got a couple of members coming, so we'll be happy to say hello to you. We're going to be honoring 2 of our scholarship winners, and I'd like to mention them tonight just so everybody out there can hear who they are. And I'm hoping I'm pronouncing these right. So from Queen Anne's High School, it's Carly Hershey. Did a great job on her essay, if you will. And from Kent Island High School, it's Kirsten Curry, and did another great job. So yeah, we can applaud them. We're going to recognize them and honor them at our luncheon on Tuesday, and so forth. One of the things that came across my mind as I was kind of thinking about graduation, you got a smooth pond, you drop a pebble in, and those ripples go forever. And it's always a comforting feeling to me when I see former students that either I taught or were in high school when I went through there, who come back and they've got a solid career. And that's the best thing that we can hope for as an organization, is to provide that information and background to get them off to a good start. Not everybody needs to go to college, but everybody needs to have a good career. And that's what I see on that aspect. So let's keep the pebbles going, let's keep the ripples out there and so forth. Have a safe summer, safe close of school on Friday. And I'm talking about the teachers not going crazy on Monday. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Jen Green.
Hi, thank you for the opportunity to speak with you today. I was at the commissioner meeting at Kent Island and speaking about the essential positions of teachers, and I'm pleased to be here with you today. One thing that the county commissioners made clear is that while they were happy to hear from us, the ultimate people that we needed to speak with was the Board of Education, so here I am. And certainly I want to recognize that there are state issues that you have to contend with, and we understand that. The reality is, however, we are now facing a budget situation that affects our students this year, and you have the responsibility to prioritize that budget, and I want to speak to those priorities. So while the county commissioners approved an additional $1.2 million for essential teachers, specialists, and classroom teachers in response to record-setting community engagement, the response from the Board of Education, as you mentioned, Ms. Salins, was to create a county approach. From my perspective, what I would have liked to see this board do, and I would still advocate that you do, is to go back to your budget and find a match. Find a $1.2 million match to make sure that these specialists stay in our schools. They're essential. Our students have gone through a COVID learning loss. There's a documented learning loss from Stanford University, from Harvard University, that shows our county suffered a 1 grade level loss in testing in math. And math and reading specialists are essential to bringing those students up to par and up to where they were before. I just want to also mention that I did look through your 2023 to 2024 budget, and I saw increases across the board in non-essential, lovely areas, but when in difficult budgeting years, areas that I would not prioritize. Essential teachers, classroom teachers, and reading and math specialists are the last place. They're the last line you cut. So when I look at it, I see increases in administration, transportation, sports, health services. Look, no one wants to cut those things. But when you have to make difficult budget decisions, those would be the places that I would go to have a look, to say, do I need to bring these levels down to pre-2022 levels? How can I find a way to make sure that our students are not suffering? Because increased class sizes combined with the loss of reading and math specialists is a 1-2 punch to our kids. It's really gutting an essential service that our kids really need. And I'm asking you and pleading with you to please reconsider your budget. Please go back. I worked for a multinational corporation that had $1 billion in revenues, and we had less than 10 finance positions. And I'm looking at your administration, I see 10 finance positions. Do we really need those? If we're gonna cut positions, where are we cutting? Not teachers. Look at your administration. We have an AI that makes administration vastly more efficient. Cut support staff. I hate to say that, but teachers are the last place to cut. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. That's it.
All right, is that it for public comment? All right, moving on to the action items. Can I get a motion to approve the HR report as presented?
So moved.
Can I get a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye. I'm sorry, I didn't hear it all the way through, so I was
Sorry.
like,
My voice just kind of went.
Okay.
Yeah, so at this point, I thank you for approving our HR report for this month. And in there, we have 3 appointments for 3 new principals for next school year coming up. So I'd like to recognize them at this time and have them come forward. The first one for Kent Island Elementary School is Mrs. Kathy Barletto.
Yep.
So,
I'm sorry.
we're going to do one separate, please. Want to do them on each one.
Okay. Okay. So, there you go. And Miss Bennett, maybe move to your left or right. Perfect. There we go. Perfect. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Okay.
And And the second one is our new principal of Stevensville Middle School, Mrs. Amy Smith. And last but not least, our new principal at Mattapique Elementary School, Mrs. Kayleen Koga.
On three. 1, 2. There you go. Yep, perfect. On three. 1, 2, 3.
Next up is Mr. Combs.
Good evening, President Bennett, Superintendent Salins, board members, executive team. For the record, my name is Josh Combs. I am the supervisor of technology. Today, have just a couple of purchase approvals. First one being our renewal for Microsoft licensing. See here, this is done through the MEAT contract, which is something that all the counties are part of, and several governments. I also included pricing from multiple other contracts throughout the country, so where you can compare the difference between what we're paying for versus what you might get on other contracts. This contract here basically only increased about $2,000 from last year, like a 1.6% increase. So pretty marginal in terms of what we paid last year, which was great.
I did have a question about the other two. So you're saying that for like the Microsoft 365 subscription,
Yep.
Meek is almost $48, and the other ones are $11.
I'm sorry, that was total. It was actually,
Oh, that's for all the counties.
I must have put the wrong one in there. It was actually for just one of the items. That was my mistake. That 47 is basically total, where that one PEM is only one portion of it. I'll update this and I can re-upload it, but the MEAT became the cheapest contract of all the other contracts, but I'll make sure I update this correctly. Because it should be 764, not 4764.
Well, the contract says $55,595 at the $47.64 when you look at the quote.
Yeah, that problem when you look at the option A3 United, it's basically multiple products put into one. It's not just one thing. That's why you have to break it down, like Defender, Vizio is one thing, but this is all, I can't remember. I don't have my stuff with me right now, but. Do we do there?
Do we have a timeline as to when we need to have this done?
No, I can get this
I was gonna say,
tonight,
can
and then you guys can see it.
we put it on the 26th?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't need to do this until July 1st.
Ms. Dennis, you'll capture that.
And that way you can see the pricing between
Okay,
all
so we'll-
three.
Great, thank you.
We'll
Thank you
push
very
this.
No,
much.
absolutely.
And another question, I see in budget source, you got scratched out 24, to use 25. Is there any scale, like multi-year contract with that same as any, or is this a year?
Not for Microsoft.
Okay.
Well, it is a multi-year agreement that Meek goes with Microsoft, so we usually do a 5-year deal. They haven't done a 5-year deal. Basically, we're doing an extension of the previous contract until they settle on a multi-year deal. And it kind of locks our pricing in for the next 5 years. Like it only goes up 3% or something like that.
Is that what they called their up, what do they call that, the up lift or whatever? It was some kind of odd name. They said it's tied in except for a normal uplift in price. Okay.
Yeah.
All right,
Great, thank you.
We'll go ahead and
Yeah,
push this till
okay.
next time.
All right, I think you have the next one too, yes.
This is another renewal. So this is a little more correct. So this is a renewal of our content filter. That's our student, staff, internet content filter that we have to have by law. You also see again the same prices. So Meek is $6.10. The next company closest is Insight at $8.99.
Any questions? Okay, yep, go ahead.
I recommend that the Board of Ed approve the purchase of the Lightspeed content filter subscription through the reseller data networks for a term of July 1, 2024 through June 30, 2025. Fiscal impact, $56,730. Budget source, FY25. Technology software licensing budget.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much. All right, Ms. Hassan. And can I say, green is a lovely color on you.
Good evening, President Bennett and members of the board, Dr. Salins and members of the executive team. For the record, my name is Bridget Passon. I'm the English Language Arts Supervisor for grades 3 through 12. I am here for my annual request for materials to support Tier 1 instruction for our high school and middle school classes, so English classes. So I'll start with item 6.04, which is for our high school digital licenses and consumables. These are the materials necessary to support English 1 through 4.
Any questions?
Questions?
Let's see. Recommend that the Board of Ed approve the purchase of the digital license and consumables text from My Perspectives from Savas. Fiscal impact $82,495.33. Budget source FY25 unrestricted operating funds.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Move on to the next item, 6.05. Same request, but for our middle school ELA courses to support all those classes ELA 6 through ELA 8.
Any questions?
Trying to get through this. Suggest that the Board of Ed approve purchase of digital license and consumable textbooks for the collection from Halton Milfin Harcourt. Fiscal impact $119,471.92. Budget source FY25 unrestricted operating funds.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Thank you. We have Ms. Smith. And congratulations again.
She's still doing this for a couple weeks.
I was gonna say.
I didn't get to leave with everyone else. So, good evening, Ms. Bennett, Dr. Salins, board members, and executive team. I am here with the iReady Classroom Mathematics textbooks I brought to you last month for public review. We haven't had any comments so far. This is to kind of get the pre-approval for it when the amendment comes in, if the amendment is approved. Otherwise, I'll be back in July requesting for the budget money to be used towards the online platform.
Okay. Questions?
The one thing, I guess, a question, a couple of years ago, we went from a lot of capital money for books and things. I know things are changing, consumable stuff, electronic. We lost that. Is there any way that when we look at our budget next year, I know we have a capital and we have a certain number they like to see every year, but is there something we can start pushing some of that into capital?
We
If
did.
it's long enough, to meet those needs?
We did push technology back into that category this year, so I do foresee some things that have not software, we can't
No,
do
I understand
software, but textbooks that are, we use for 20, sometimes more years, and so that would be something that we wouldn't consider.
back into-
Right,
Yeah,
exactly.
And don't we have one of the licenses for 5 years for some of the stuff? Would that not qualify?
That wouldn't
Okay.
qualify, that's not long enough, no.
Is there a magic number?
No, that's, you just look at kind of the life of the product itself.
It's the life of the product.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, if it's 3 or 4 years or 5 years, that's not going to cut it. But when you're looking at 20 or 30 years, like furniture's another great example that, we had the original furniture at Queen Anne County High School that we just replaced. So obviously that's been there for 40 years, so.
Anything else?
Okay, recommend that the Board of Education approve the contract pending approval from MSDE with iReady, fiscal impact $69,683.20. Budget source, local $46,900, leads $22,783.20.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Have a great evening.
You too. Okay. Mr. Grow, well, we have got quite the different people, yes, that's wonderful.
Good evening, President Bennett, Dr. Salins, executive team, members of the board. Tonight, bringing to you, for the record, sorry, my name is Jonathan Groh. I'm the supervisor of accountability. And tonight I'm bringing to you a renewal contract for Power School's Performance Matters assessment analytics choice. This tool continues to be very valuable for us. It houses a lot of our data from our test scores that are local or from state. It matches very well with MSDE when we go back and forth. We also use it for our testing platform, for our final exams, for our local assessments, content assessments. Very, very valuable to our district. So we're looking to renew this. Any questions?
Any questions?
No. Recommend that the board approve a contract with Power School for the use of Performance Matters Assessment Analytics Choice. Fiscal impact $69,035.73. Budget source unrestricted operating budget.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ms. Gast.
Good evening, President Bennett, Vice President Bennett, Dr. Salins, Dr. Kibler, members of the board, and executive team. This evening I present to you a request approval for the purchase of TimeCloud Plus. That's our timekeeping system, and it integrates with our financial management system, eFinance. It's also by Power School as well.
This is our second year with it, correct?
Yes, this is our first full year.
And we were looking for all these benefits. Have we realized all those great?
I will not lie, it has been a struggle to get this really in place and working. I don't feel like we've gotten everything that we really wanted to get out of it yet, but we certainly have made a lot of progress. There has many capabilities to be able to track attendance in various different lanes and be able to produce reports so we can see how many people took sick leave, how many people took bereavement, and as you divide out the different categories. But we still have a little ways to go.
Yes. We do have a new system administrator, so
Sorry,
we have
what?
a new system administrator for finance, so I'm hopeful that we can
Yes,
utilize
and
more of
has
the
made leaps
capabilities
and
of-
bounds since the second he came into the door.
I'm very hopeful that we will
Has
make
resolved many of the concerns we had, so you're absolutely right. I anticipate us being able to really get everything up and running that we wanted to have for next school year. Yeah, he's been amazing.
Sorry.
I was gonna say, we used ADP before, which is obviously a very well-known timekeeping system, but it was costing us over $150,000 per year. That was the last year we had it, and this one is only $60,000 $263,000. So this is definitely a cost savings as well.
And that one we couldn't do anything with.
Right. It does not integrate to
yes,
finance
it's half
like
the
this
cost
does.
and right.
Is there a time frame for this one that you'll know whether, like the cost savings of, not even just how much it costs, but what you guys are wanting to do with it?
I was gonna say, I know like I have plans for it. I don't know if that could be monetary. I think, but like we also, I mean, I'm thinking for federal grants, you're required to have a timekeeping system that integrates to your financial management system. This one does more seamlessly than others because it is built by PowerSchool as well. So I think that is one of the key benefits of this is that this is the company PowerSchool recommends. This is what they preferred us to use in order to have the best integration.
Do we know, what was the cost, how much is it going up each year? Because 62,000 is still, what was, we don't, it's okay.
I don't know.
I thought we were paying over 100,000 for ADP.
Well, right, for ADP it was
Right, she
over
said that, but I mean, for
150.
this one from time, or like, is it every year?
Slightly. And I'm sorry.
Our school products roughly seem to be around that 3 to 5% annual increase.
Okay, thank you.
And this is always an annual contract. They don't ever do like different time frame.
We're working on it.
We're working on that.
Trying to do a bundle. We actually have several PowerSchool components. And, you know, at this point, PowerSchool really is just gobbled up everything. All the different performance matters that John just was speaking of. That used to be its own platform, and then they got bought out. And so PowerSchool has been buying out all these other things that we use and integrating them together, which is wonderful because it does make it seamless. However, we have all these contracts that now we're trying to bundle them together so that we can save
We're
on
in
some costs.
very early talks of that, so it may not happen in 25, but hopeful for 26. We're in very early stages of discussing bundling with that and multi-year contracts with them, but we have brought that up. So we're hopeful that potentially going forward we can do.
Hopefully next year this time we will.
Well, that would be a problem though, if that's gonna be the only platform available to public schools.
The whole state is, it seems like.
There are,
Everything, sorry.
I was just gonna say, there are some benefits. I mean, so with them going to the bundle, like, so our evaluation tool that we use, so the platform we were on 2 years ago was basically out of date and PowerSchool didn't want to service it anymore. So they actually allowed us to upgrade to their most current version and actually integrated it with this contract, kind of split and actually gave us the latest and greatest for the same price we were paying at it. So we got a discount there. So they are working with us. It's not always quick with the big company, all the different products we have, but we are working on
It does save us time and energy on a lot of the state reporting because they actually develop the end product for us. So we just can go in and kind of run a report basically, and that report is what the state is looking for in a certain format, and they've already set it all up for us. So a person on our end doesn't have to go through that whole process of setting up the report and all the different categories in that report and everything, because PowerSchool is doing it conglomerately for all of the districts, because they don't serve every district, but they do serve the majority of the districts in Maryland.
And MSD is almost cornering most of the districts to use it for the financial reporting aspect. So.
And then PowerSchool is services all of these, so they're directly through PowerSchool. Is there any like third party?
So TimeCalc+ is actually the third party, but this is their only module.
Okay.
So it's a separate company, but it's their company that they chose as their timekeeping and attendance.
Okay.
That was a great question. Any other questions?
I'm a firm believer a student needs to be in school because if they're not there so many days, they're truant. Also, we need teachers in front of those and staff. I've asked this question, not this year, but more in 1 year.
I did it this year.
I'm gonna ask it again probably.
No, that's good.
We need to track stuff. I know our staff has the same issues as society does. Some days you're sick, some days you got a doctor's appointment, all this. But I see a lot of substitutes. And I just think, the most biggest resource we have is teachers in front of our students. And I just really am concerned sometimes on certain days that, we might have a high absenteeism or and I asked this question, and last year I was told, well, this is going to solve our, we'll be able to track some stuff. I'm hearing right now, we got a lot of holes in it. We're not tracking. I'm too old. I won't be here.
Right. I think so. Right now, we do track a lot of the use of our accumulated leave days in an HR portion of this. The goal is to get it into Time Clock Plus because it does do that. And then it'll be any finance and we can run better reports with it. So,
Wait a minute, am I understanding you haven't put any of the,
oh no, they do integrate already, but there's certain checkpoints where they're not tied as well as they should be. They're not integrated as much as
I mean, I just think for a
it
manager,
should be.
for a supervisor or a principal probably has a better handle. But some of these schools, the high schools, 1,200, some of the middle schools are 600. If you have too many people out, it must be tough.
Right, and I'm gonna defer, because I don't know the substitute system that well. I do know there's a way that,
Well, one thing I'm glad, this is not accurate, because I'm getting this from my grandchildren. A lot of times, well, my teacher wasn't there. When? Today, yesterday. I mean, and I'm sure there's good reasons for it. I'm not, they got their life too. But I just think we need people, and it concerns me sometimes.
I mean, staff attendance has been a problem since post-COVID. I mean, aggressively so. Obviously, attendance prior to COVID, people take off time. They get a lot of time. I mean, here they get 4 personal leave days. They don't get 4 personal leave days. I don't know of any other district, at least on the shore, that has 4. So they get the time, they get their sick leave, and they use their time. I think they use it more now post-COVID than they did prior to COVID. I will have to say that the attendance for our students has come up this year. We were pretty much on the mark at 92% across the board. The state expects you to be at 94%. You want to reach for 96%. So we were much better than last year. So I see that attendance getting better, and I'm hopeful that we'll see that trend maybe with our staff as well. We do have indicators on as part of their contract now where we put caps when it comes to using personal leave, so they can only have so many a percentage, 5% out, approved for personal leave. If they try to go above that, they're denied. So we're doing our very best to try to put caps so that we don't have a given day where it's a beautiful Monday and nobody wants to come in, or that type of thing, where we try to curb that as much as possible. But I agree with you. I think attendance across the state for superintendents has been talking points for us for months and months now.
Because, I mean, when I hear 92, 94, want to be 96 for our students, well, if I'm a student or a parent sitting well, is the teachers hold to that same, I'm not held to it, I mean, because I know there's things happen, and there's certain, but, are they at 92 and 94, you think?
I think they're probably very, very close to 92.
So that might tell us.
but is that because we were supposed, from understand, this program was supposed to be able to track that?
So I'm going to kick it to Dr. Knoll.
We can track, and I've shared with the board some of our rates, but we can track absences by reason, by school, the whole 9 yards.
Any other questions?
I did have one. So where you said it needed to be integrated, is this something you guys have to ask them to build what you want it to do, or is that already like a capability of the system?
And it's partially integrated now, and I really just think we need to configure it slightly better, and I think with our staff that we have now, we're in a much better place to do that.
That it? All right. Recommend that the board approve the contract with Power School for the use of Time Clock Plus. Fiscal impact $62,654.80. Budget source FY25 operating budget.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Mr. Bearclough?
Can't see. All right.
I feel you.
My theme.
I know, right?
I feel you.
There we go. Good evening, President Bennett, Vice President Bent, Dr. Salins, board members, and executive team. I'm Darryl Barraclough, School Facility Coordinator. I come before you this evening for the contract award for the replacement of the fire alarm system at Kennard Elementary School. We reached out to Johnson Controls for it's a sole source bid because we are using a proprietary fire alarm system. It is a simplex control unit. What we're trying to do is install the same type of fire alarm throughout our schools as we move forward. This is similar systems that we've done in the past few years, moving forward with the same installation. We just did Sudlersville and Churchill Elementary last year. They're finishing up now. So this is a Johnson Controls sole source installation. And in addition to that, one of the other reasons why we're going with Johnson Controls is that it maintains their mobile app device that they use that our maintenance crew can use and get instant notifications on systems being down or in trouble, or if a device is down or something like that. So it helps tremendously with getting folks on site to do the right thing when it needs to be done and have a little bit of advance notice of things versus a telephone call. So we're utilizing Johnson Controls. We're purchasing the materials through Johnson Controls, which in doing so, we are avoiding sales tax on that. Then Johnson Controls goes out and they solicit installation prices from various electricians to do the installation. And what you'll see is with this installation, they've contacted 4 separate electricians, and the electricians provided the installation numbers, and you'll see that Lywood Electric out of Federalsburg provided the lowest installation price of $107,000. So with Johnson Controls management and materials cost and design, it comes to $254,000. And as a side note, this project is state funded, and it was state funded in prior years, state funded. So this is a 51-49% split between local and state. So.
I have a question. Is Johnson Controls, will they be overseeing the electricians, or is that going to be?
They will be overseeing the electricians because it's almost as if they are a subcontractor to Johnson Controls. So.
Thank you.
Yeah.
What is the lifespan and warranty on the system?
The warranty would be a 2-year parts and labor on the installation. Then there's manufacturer's warranties on the various products, whether it's heat detectors or smoke detectors, whatever the different devices would be that would come from the various manufacturers of the products. But then from a life standpoint, we're looking at probably 20 to 25 years, given what we've seen out of the prior systems that we're replacing.
Okay, thank you.
And just about a few times, the labor, this is just labor since Johnson's, so that's a big difference in those companies, and you're comfortable that Lywood will?
Correct, yeah, the Lywood and the Battaglia and the Nickel Electric, those are just installation prices. So Johnson Controls would then put their materials portion on top of that. So that's why you'll see that the total cost that we would be awarding to Johnson Controls is $254,000. That's inclusive of Lywood Electric in that $254,000.
I just mean Nickel was $100,000 more, so almost double. So it's just, and then even Battaglia is 50%.
Correct.
So, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Any other questions? Nope. So just the board approved the contract with Johnson Controls for the installation of a new fire alarm system at Kennard Elementary School. Fiscal impact, $254,000. Budget source, $142,000 from FY24 local funds, $29,000 from FY25 local funds, and $140,250 from FY24 state funds.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right.
All right. Next up, similar to the presentation that I just made on the Kennard project, this is for a contract approval for the replacement of the fire alarm system at Queen Anne's County High School. Similar to Kennard, this is a proprietary simplex fire alarm system with Johnson Controls materials. Johnson Controls would be overseeing the installation, and similarly we have the same 4 electrical contractors that were solicited, Lywood Electric, Battaglia, and Nickel, and Lywood was also low on the installation cost for this project at $450,000. The total cost of purchased materials, which is Johnson Controls materials plus the installation, comes to $855,557.
I just had a question about the budget source total, why it's over $1,090,000. I'm not sure where that number's coming from if we're asking.
That's the funds that are available.
Okay.
So what I did when I put the information together, I wanted to show that we have adequate funding. We won't be utilizing all of that. And then again, since this is a state-funded project, we would use 51% of the total contract value would come from the state, and then we would utilize make up 49% in local funds.
Thank you.
So whatever was remaining in state funds would just be pushed to next coming years.
And the local funds are capital.
Pardon?
Local funds are capital.
All capital, yes, correct.
So if we save some there, then that can go, we have a capital surplus fund somewhere, I hope.
Yes, we do. Yes.
Any other questions?
I'm just assuming the warranty lifespan is the same as the previous?
Exact same thing, yes.
Okay, and then just the cost is just because the school's so much bigger?
Yes, yes. We're looking at an elementary school, very simple installation, single story versus a multi-story high school, much more square feet.
Thank you.
Recommend that the board approve the contract with Johnson Controls for the installation of a new fire alarm system at Queen Anne's County High School. Fiscal impact $855,557. Budget source $560,995 from FY25 local funds and $529,750 from FY24 state funds.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right. Next up.
Three dots.
Yeah, the
on
three
top
dots.
right.
The 3 dots on the top right. Oh.
IT's coming.
Help me. Very good, thank you. All right. Next on the agenda that I have is the presentation of the Educational Facilities Master Plan. This is for the 2024 year, which includes FY25 and beyond projects. Again, my name is Daryl Barraclough, School Facility Coordinator, and moving on to the next slide. Okay, the purpose of the EFMP is to provide a written plan that provides educational goals, standards, guidelines. It gets into the community analysis, concluding that the plan conforms to the adopted county and municipal comprehensive plan and growth management strategies. What we've done is we've reached out to county planning. We've obtained birth records from Maryland Department of Planning, coordinated that with our enrollment projections, looked at subdivision, building permits that have been requested and so forth. It also goes through an inventory and an evaluation of the existing school buildings. As I mentioned, enrollment data, projected enrollment data, and the analysis of the future school needs, which I'll get into a little bit further detail, and various school policies relating to school capacity, student transportation, and other administrative matters. As required, the Educational Facilities Master Plan is required by COMAR to be completed and updated and sent to the IAC annually. It is due to the IAC on July 1, so we're seeking approval here tonight in June so that we can meet the July 1st deadline. The EFMP and the CIP actually go hand in hand with one another. It's basically a two-step process. The Educational Facilities Master Plan provides long-range planning. It provides kind of the groundwork for the CIP program that will be coming up to you guys very shortly in the next few months. We'll be working on the development of that after the EFMP gets approved. The EFMP components, as you can see by the short list of various things that are included in there, it goes over a large array of different topics from the goals and standards, policies, enrollment capacity, facility inventory, and finally the facility needs. The facility needs is, in my opinion, is probably the most important part of the EFMP because it's going to be the groundwork for what our CIP is going to be for the next 5 years. So the annual dates, as I mentioned, we're looking for approval of the EFMP so we can meet the July submission date for the state. And then that will lay the groundwork for the capital improvement plan, which we will need to get into the state approval in October. And then we're talking about funding, which would be July funding of next year. That would be the FY26 fiscal year. So a couple of things that I wanted to point out that were important items and changes and additions. One of the things that we looked at over the year came from the blueprint initiatives and most importantly, the 3-year-old pre-kindergarten requirements that are coming from the initiative. In order to accommodate that at Centerville Elementary School, Centerville Elementary School currently is right around 100% capacity. I want to say it's right around 96 to 98% capacity. With the introduction of the 3-year-old pre-K at that school, it would certainly be, there certainly would be crowding issues at that school. And with the pre-K program not being funded at the state level, building additions really aren't on the table at that school. So what we would be looking to do would be to move the second graders from Centerville Middle and send them to Kennard.
Centerville Elementary.
I'm sorry, Centerville Elementary, and sending them to Kennard Elementary School. And then obviously that would create crowding issues there. So what we would look to do is move the 5th graders from Kennard and move them to Centerville Middle School. That accomplishes a couple of different things for us. Most importantly, it does address the pre-K issues and it gets them into Centerville Elementary School. The other thing that it does for us is Centerville Middle School has been tracking around 110 to 115 students below the current state-rated capacity. And with us going for design, well, we're in design funding now, so we've secured design funding, but in order for us to move and gain state approval for the construction funding of whether it's a renovation or replacement school, which is yet to be determined, that would come by the feasibility study, in order to really help secure the state's approval of that, we've got to show that we're going to be at very close to the state rated capacity. So if we weren't looking to do this, the state would really shy away from well, number one, they wouldn't fund it at the full square footage that a renovation would take place. So that would really be an issue for the renovation or the replacement of Centerville Middle. So that's one of the most important changes or additions that you'll see in the EFMP. The other thing that you may or may not have picked up is in fiscal year, I believe it was 28, we had feasibility studies for additions to the 2 high schools. We've taken them out of the projected scope of projects, and what we're looking at is a CTE facility, which would again accomplish some of the overcrowding at Queen Anne's County High School. We would be able, if we had a dedicated CTE facility that could handle the automotive and some of the building science programs, it would free up a lot of square footage at Queen Anne's County High School. We could renovate that back section of the building, make it into classroom spaces, make it functional, get rid of the portables that are alongside of the school. It would accomplish a lot of things. And what we're looking at with the middle school feasibility study is we're tasking the architect to look at kind of a more or less of like a master plan for what happens with this building, what happens with the existing middle school, and what happens with the grounds next to the middle school, because obviously if we do a replacement school and it is on site at the middle school site, it's obviously going to need to be not on top of the existing footprint. So we're looking at, it's really kind of a big mix of different things. So the possibilities exist to where what may weigh out in the feasibility plan is does it make more sense for the middle school to be here on site on this location? We would have to look at the dynamics of the site, look at the dynamics of the buildings, what needs to be taken down. Obviously, the historical portions of the two sections up front would be the sections we'd look to keep, take down the sections in the back and build them out accordingly. Or does it make more sense for this to be the CTE location or vice versa, between the CTE location at the middle school site and vice versa? So those are really the two biggest things that you'll see in this year's EFMP.
So I do have a question. I'm interested to know if you got any projected numbers, and the only reason why I ask is because as a representative of North County, we have a lot of building going on. We have one existing development where a builder is in, and they promise to have 40 to 45 new homes built by the December of 25. That will bring some families and students. And then we have 3 other developments in that area that are picking up.
We've been in discussion with planning and zoning, and we are tracking those developments. They've received planning approval, but have they moved forward from the planning stages yet? And that's kind of where it's kind of very difficult to gauge whether or not that's going to move as quickly as projected. There's a lot of things that are in play with like interest rates and product material costs and all those different things. So
in one neighborhood, we are 9 houses in the middle of either there's a hole or there's a house. They got 19 sold and they're working on it, but they're trying to get to those 40 to 45 by the end of December. I'm just thinking about Churchill Elementary, Sudlersville Middle, Queen Anne's County, because that's where those feed into.
And we have weighed some of that into the projections, yes.
Because when you look, to bounce off Shannon's question, where she brings up the developments, what I had written down was if you look at the numbers for like Sudlersville Middle School, it's projecting a lower population at the school in 2033 than we have now. And, you know, with all the building and survey and everything that's going down, I was, you know, when you talked about the state rated the capacities, what happens if we do get an influx and those numbers are way higher? How does that affect?
Well, at the middle school, we have an abundance of capacity there. So from an impact standpoint, the numbers would go up. It really would not impact the school because I believe, I don't have the number directly in front of me.
I think it said now we're at 71% with the 400 and whatever. And
I think that school has about a 700 seat capacity. So we've got plenty of room to grow if the numbers didn't weigh out in the enrollment projections. You know, prior years projections counted on a lot of growth, but that growth came in the tune of 55 plus communities. So that really doesn't bear out seats in the school. So that's why we had to kind of scale some of the growth numbers back. So you know, we'll keep an eye on it, and it's always they're projections. I mean, we do the best that we can.
I think what's really important to understand is that this is an annual report. So every year we review it, and
Correct.
if we need to make changes at that point is when we make changes. So,
Correct.
you know, exactly what we're saying right now may not come true, that we may start to see numbers grow, and we may have to shift, you know, our mindset of what we're thinking. So I do want to just say, this isn't like a 5-year, you know, we
Right,
don't
these
revisit it
numbers aren't
every year. We
fixed.
revisit this, and so we look at those projections really closely.
Yeah, we'll get projections. As a matter of fact, we'll get new enrollment numbers in probably 4 months, reality-wise, because it's the end of September. So we'll have new numbers to show where we're kind of playing out.
Just
Kinda
a
nice how
comment
that-
and question, I'm sorry, real quick, that just one thing about the 55 plus community. So I know that with 4 seasons on the island, 80% of the people who bought homes there, they said, were already living in Queen Anne's County, which means they left their homes to move into the retirement community, which meant that left all their homes open for children. So sometimes I don't know if we consider all of that. But then the question is, where does the state, at what percentage are we able to ask them to help support either renovating or supporting a new building?
There's really not a fixed percentage on where we need to weigh out whether, some people have said if you're within 90% of your state rated capacity, but there's really nothing fixed, hard written in black and white that says what that percentage is. I can say that the state has gotten very stingy with their funding this past year. I've been on telephone calls with other other LEAs, and the state has actually not funded the second year of a few projects that they guaranteed multi-year funding on, and left counties kind of in a lurch. And now the counties are scrambling, seeking local money to make that
Well, remember,
difference up.
January, they're in session January.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Start now.
Yeah.
Two things. Speaking of up North County, you talked to Queenian's planning and zoning. One of the big elephants is Sudlersville. They have a lot of capacity in their water and sewer system.
Yep.
And they're looking for development. And if something happens up there with multifamily or something, that to me would be a lot more than single family homes. I mean, so I know the county has some, but they've annexed some large properties into Sudlersville, and they have an issue with their sewer. They need people.
Yeah.
And that's a concern of mine. The other thing, Centerville Middle School, moving 5th grade there. Will everybody be inside?
Yes.
So we're not looking at any portables.
No, there would not be
no,
any
no,
portables there,
Okay.
no, because what we're looking to do is we would plan for the 5th grade to move. We would look at the enrollment from 5th grade to 8th grade, and we would build a school to accommodate that enrollment.
I mean,
Now-
because that's some of the stuff that comes up and parents will start getting, questions like that. And I
Yes,
just want to make sure we're
and
not.
the one thing that the state won't do is the state won't the state won't fund over what the enrollments are at that current year. So regardless of what projections are showing, they won't fund beyond what the
Right.
enrollments are.
Well, that's what we had with
So-
Canal High School. They would only fund it, I think, at,
Right, you went in at
Sudlersville
capacity.
Middle was the same way.
1,900, and we went up, the county had to afford to fund 1,200 kids.
Right.
So one thing I will say about that, though, as being a parent on the other side that had a 5th grader that ended up in a middle school when we weren't notified, we need to make sure that if that's where we're going, we are very transparent, and we talk to our parents, and they understand what the impacts are, because having been a parent who was told in a very short period of time that my 5th grader was going to be in a middle school, that wasn't cool, and we weren't happy about it, and
Right,
I want us
and-
to do a better job than was done previously.
And that's why I'm kind of bringing it up tonight. This is not something that's planned for 25, 26 or anything like that. This is something that we would implement after the renovation or the replacement school was built at Centerville Middle. So there's a few years in here, unless of course the 3-year-old program forces our hand. So that's the other. I mean, we have to look at both ends of this. And Dr. Kibler was involved in a lot of this as well, so.
I would just say this is part of the blueprint implementation where we're rolling out our pre-K expansion in the district. And we had to talk about how we're addressing 4-year-old program and 3-year-old program. It's taken us 3 years, next year being the 3rd, where we'll just have the full day 4-year-old program available at every school, and that's not even universal yet. So bringing Centerville Elementary School online next year and having hopefully 4 classes there. So the next step as we get through this is starting to talk about how we're going to address the 3-year-old pre-K classes throughout the district. And we will take a slow and steady approach to that, just like we did with 4-year-olds, and look where we have the capacity first. The implementation of the pre-K, it goes over that 10 or 12-year program into 2030s. So we have time, and I think that bringing it up now and we're doing, what you asked, Ms. Bent, where we're letting the community know some of the potential plans and And I think it's good. I think we've had a positive response with our 4-year-old rollout, and hopefully this is setting the stage for.
And likely we have to look at Ken Island Elementary School, Bayside Elementary School, and looking at going over to Mattapique Middle School. We may see the same thing there, where we would have to relocate second graders over to Bayside and therefore fifth graders over. So it's a conversation we're starting now. Doesn't mean it's absolutely going to happen, but it's something that is on the table of an option that we need to take in order to meet blueprint for 3-year-old implementation of pre-K.
And then how much money was from the state for this pre-K?
Zero.
Right.
Well,
There's very little.
With the
So it's-
expansion of teachers.
yeah, I wanted
Building
to,
expansion.
the one thing when we
Yes.
talked about not funding pre-K, it was not funding the building expansion
Right.
for pre-K. We are getting pre-K expansion to help set up our classrooms, and then the student enrollment to support the students there. It's just not the buildings. So that is one area of the blueprint where I feel like the state money is there. We're seeing that.
They give us a
There's
start
nothing
up.
for capital.
No.
No.
Right,
And,
that
and
was
once we've
my
set
mistake,
up,
but that, when I meant funded, it was strictly not funded from a capital standpoint.
and the pre-K expansion is just that. It's to expand the program, so they provide you with everything you need to start up, meaning furniture and even teacher salary the first year. But please understand, after that first year, those teachers have to be brought into the district.
Right.
So that also impacts our staffing.
Yeah, very similar to the ESSER grants. I mean,
Correct.
paid for a
Yeah.
couple, yes.
Yeah,
And
and
then
then that's
the
it.
money goes away. All right. Any other questions?
That was a long discussion. Suggest the Board of Ed approve the 2024 Educational Facilities Master Plan.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ms. Hickey.
She was not able to be here this evening.
Okay.
So, yes,
Is that
Dr.
Dr.
Kibler's
Kibler?
gonna,
Yes.
and if the board has additional questions, we can always, address it at
Sure.
another time. Yeah.
So good evening, Dr. Kibler, Assistant Superintendent. Good evening, Ms. Bennett, President, and Superintendent Dr. Salen, board members and executive team. So last month you all approved, as we transition to the in-house food service management. So last month you all approved the Cisco contract as well as the milk contract, piggybacking off of Comico, I believe. This month we bring 2 additional that kind of bring us to the end of these initial contracts, I believe. So piggybacking off of Cecil County, the food-related cafeteria products, so kind of your paper products, plates, utensils, things of that nature. So that's the first one up here.
I just have a question just about the two together, just real quick, is why are we not getting these 2 items from Cisco? I know they have bread products and they have paper products. It seems as if we bought more from Cisco, maybe it would be a deal, so I don't know why are we not using Cisco?
I think it's because she didn't get as good of a deal, and that's why she's piggybacking off of this one, which has gone out, put bids out, and found that this product or this company actually was a better than the Cisco.
Correct.
I think that's what the whole purpose of going out and looking or piggybacking off of somebody is, that you put it all out there and who is your best man standing at the end of the day. I don't know if Sid would like to weigh in.
What was the question?
I said, well, I was wondering why we weren't using Cisco for these 2 contracts when they do have, they provide bread and they provide paper products. So it seemed like maybe Cisco would give us an even better break if we're buying more from them. So I didn't know why we're doing a different vendor for these 2 contracts.
Well, this was a bid that's already been put out that was the lowest bid that they could locate for it. And then I thought the question was, why was it bread? Why was it, I'm having a hard time hearing with this, but
Yeah, sorry.
this was already pre-bid out for that.
They're not listed on the yellow sheet, right?
No, they're not. The other bids.
No, because it's Cecil County's contract, so
Right.
it's based off of theirs. Their proposal.
They're the ones who kind of did the heavy lift,
They're the
for lack of
ones who
better
did that.
words. They went out, took it out
So
to
we
bid.
don't know, like, do we know what it would have been through Cisco? Is that what you're saying, that?
I can see if we can get even more of their documentation. I know this was just part of it, but I can see to get that to you all, for sure.
So the bidding was done through Cecil County on their end, but on our end, we didn't see the difference between if we went with Cisco for this stuff, like how much more would that cost us with the contract we already approved for them? That what?
So I'm sure we could see that. I didn't directly see that. That would have been what Ms. Hickey took care of and presented just the contract document showing that we can piggyback off of it, and assuming that they picked the best price.
I mean, the piggybacking option, it gives you a better deal because it basically is more buying power. So we're Queen Anne's County, we're very, very small. But when you put Cecil County, who's twice the size of us, together with other counties that have piggybacked, then you get this buying power that's larger than if we just go to an individual and say we would like to have a contract with you. That's the concept of piggybacking.
But we already
So it's
have a
buy-
contract with Cisco, so.
But not for this product.
Right, but how much would it cost us? Could we see, I mean, echoing off of Dick's being fiscally responsible, and we're in a crisis here, like, what is the difference?
So we would have to put it out to bid.
Yes.
I'm
Just
assuming
what I'm
that-
saying is, we don't know, correct? We're just piggybacking off of Cecil County's.
You're piggybacking off of Cecil counties, but I would venture to say there are quite a few school systems in the state of Maryland that are using this contract. Usually when that happens, a lot of the larger counties have already did the research on that and the footwork. We're just a smaller county that, it takes a lot of time and effort to do that. But I would venture to say, if you looked at a lot of these, that it's pretty much a large portion of the state that is using it.
I believe we were the 8th person on the Cisco contract, or 8th district.
county.
8th district on the shore specifically that piggybacked off of that Cisco contract.
I'm sure that it's right, it's nice that they did the heavy lifting, but I'm looking at their first sheet where it says we agree to renew the contract pending a price review. And so I guess I'm thinking since they already did all that, maybe we could just.
We can certainly go back and get it, sure.
work, so that we can see that, oh, wow, this is
Sure.
right, this comparison, they did a good job and we didn't have to do it again, but there's no numbers.
Yeah, I'm happy to go back and get and see what other documentation we can get to add.
Is that what you were?
Yeah, that's fine, that's what.
Yeah, sure, we can get that. And then I would say we do need to move on this for our summer programming that starts in July too. So, and the amounts that are listed here are based on what our numbers have been, our usage has been under our current, looking at what Sodexo has been using in the district.
Any other questions?
I guess it says budget source, food service fund balance. Are we using money that we've got from this year to fund this, or is this all gonna be next?
Our food service is a separate fund because it's our fund 5, right? It's our fund 5. So that has its own separate food balance account. So going forward, this will be in the food service operating budget, but our startup costs, we have to use like the savings, the fund balance from food service. And it's separate from our operating fund balance.
I know it's separate from operating, but
Yeah.
We're doing this and we all agreed to it, so I got one little bird that concerns me. But Cisco guaranteed we wouldn't lose money. Pretty much they run it at a certain figure.
No.
We haven't, they didn't guarantee we would lose money?
You said Cisco.
I'm not Cisco, Sodexo, whatever, I'm sorry.
Whatever that is.
Sorry about that.
Sodexo. Yeah, oh, yeah.
And we did we have some kind of fund balance where they paid for some of our equipment and stuff over the years?
Many years ago.
That hadn't happened recently? But it's gonna be a separate balance, and we'll make sure we don't lose money.
Yeah. Yes. Hopefully.
Gotcha.
Yes.
I'm sorry, yes, what was the last one?
So we're also we're thinking about making a separate budget just for food service too, so we can track
think it
that
should.
better. Right, so we can track that better as well. So it's 100% a separate fund, so we can give you reports that are completely separate as well. So we'll look into formally documenting it better as well.
Any other questions about that? Do you want to go ahead and do the second one, and do you mind, then Shannon, we can just do both of them? since
Sure,
we're
it's
pretty
the same idea, Cecil County. So the last month, the 2 contracts Wakamaco had put forward, these are the Cecil County ones. So this is for the bread and rolls.
Any other questions?
And again, the amount here is based on what we needed, the amount of bread products we needed to buy for this year, projecting for next year.
And it includes summer.
Correct.
Yeah, that's right, the pressing now, right?
Right.
Soon, all right.
So, recommend that we approve the budget related to the cafeteria products contract with FPC Distribution to piggyback off of Cecil County Public Schools. Fiscal impact $142,000 for, the cafeteria products contract and $140,000 for bread and rolls. Budget source, the food service fund balance.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll get Julie to get you all some additional information.
Right, I'm gonna,
Yeah.
get that.
Mr. Pinder?
Good evening, President Bennett, Dr. Salins, board members, executive team. For the record, my name is Sid Pinder, Chief Operating Officer. I'm here before you tonight to seek approval for Mr. Ezekiel Whitlock of the Northern County Exchange LLC to purchase a new or used bus for the 24-25 school year to replace bus 2510. Bus 2510 has met its life cycle of 15 years to Comar. So we are seeking tonight for approval for Mr. Whitlock to go forward with purchasing a new or used bus. The cost associated with that is, it would be the PVA, which is in our operating budget that we look at each year.
There are no questions. Can I get a motion?
Motion to approve Mr. Ezekiel Whitlock to purchase a new or used bus for the 24-25 school year to replace bus 2510. Fiscal impact PVA, budget source 25 operating budget.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
I'd just like it to reflect that the agenda item needs to have an addition to it that says "or used." So,
Thank you.
if we just make sure
Because
that.
I've repeated what he said.
Exactly, and I thank you for doing that. It wasn't accurately reflected on the yellow sheet. So the yellow sheet needs to be modified to say "or
Oh.
used."
But he never glasses on.
On the front.
We're good. You said it right. It just wasn't
Yes.
reflected correctly.
Thank you. Dr. Kibler, policy for charter schools.
Sure, so bring to you tonight after 2 reads of the charter school policy, updates of which we received no comments, so just seeking approval of that.
If there's no questions, can we get a motion?
Motion to approve policy 102, subject to the final edits for format and style.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Mr. Grow. Gently waiting back there.
I have to make you
Again.
sit closer, so you have to
Yeah.
walk so far.
All right. Again, John Grove, Supervisor of Accountability. I bring to you seeking approval. This is our 3rd time coming back for policy number 642, test administration and dissemination of test data. To my knowledge, we have not had any more comments, so we're seeking approval for this policy.
There's no questions, can I get a motion?
Board should approve policy 642, subject to final edits for format and style.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And last but not least, Mr. Evans.
Good evening, President Bennett, Dr. Salins, members of the Board Executive Committee. For the record, my name's Matt Evans, Supervisor of Student Services. Before you tonight are 3 policies for approval. First is number 508, Behavior Threat Assessment. There was a revision after the second read under Purpose, where it now reads, serious threats of violence stated against any persons in Queen Anne's County Public Schools community will not be tolerated and will be handled through disciplinary action.
All right, and that was based on our last, our conversation last time. Anyone have any other questions? Can I get a motion?
All right. Motion to approve policy 508, subject to final edits for format and style.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next is policy 511, student discipline. The revision from the second read were Mr. Schiffinelli's proposals that are before you now.
If there's no questions, can I get a motion?
Motion to approve policy 511, subject to final edits for format and style.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye. Thank you. And the last policy is number 517, illness at school. No revisions since the first reading.
No questions? Can I get a motion?
A motion to approve policy 517, subject to final edits for format and style.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we're scheduled for a break. Do we want to push through?
Keep going.
All right. Informational items, Ms. Passon.
Okay, I am back again. Again, good evening, President Bennett, members of the board, Dr. Salins, and members of the executive team. My name is Bridget Passon. I'm the English Language Arts Supervisor for grades 3 through 12. I am here with an informational item to request secondary novels recommended by Materials of Instruction Committee members for inclusion in ELA and English curricula be made available for a 30-day public review in accordance with the Materials of Instruction Regulations, Section D. Novels will be available in the front office of the Board of Education. Additionally, there are links to reviews of each novel on the Materials of Instruction evaluation forms.
Anyone have any questions or comments?
And there's no action.
Nope, there's no action. All right.
When you have the committee put together, I see you have one parent. Do we get, more than one parent can be on that committee if they wanted to be?
Yes.
I
In
know
a
it's hard to
couple,
get
we
people.
had two, our interpreters are parents, and some of
Okay.
them served as a second parent. So, in a couple instances, we had more than one parent, which we were thrilled
I
about.
mean, it's good, because, we hear this, and then nobody wants to get involved. They better look at it up front.
No, we were sure to get them.
Thank you.
All right, be back in July. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Dr. Guido.
Good evening, President Bennett, Dr. Salins, members of the board, and the executive team. For the record, my name is Dr. Darren Guido, Supervisor of Instruction in the areas of social studies, world languages, service learning, multilingual learners, including Title III, Part C, and the Migrant Education Program, which is Title I, Part C, for Queen Anne's County Public Schools. Tonight, I'm bringing before you information about the open public review of English 3D. It's an English language development curriculum resource for our 6 middle and high school ELD classrooms. English 3D is a resource that is a part of the HMH family of curricula that is currently used in our classrooms, including interreading in grades K to 5 and collections in grades 6 through 8, as well as the intervention program Read 180. Like Read 180, English 3D is in HMH's intervention category and focuses on building on our multilingual learners' existing linguistic strengths to accelerate their English proficiency. English 3D is the only ELD program that earned the WIDA Prime 2020 Seal of Alignment, similar to Ed Reports, which is used to show curriculum alignment to ELA, math, and science standards. The WIDA Prime 2020 Seal indicates that WIDA-trained reviewers believe the publisher has provided sufficient evidence to a degree of alignment between a given set of instructional materials and the Prime rubric. This is important as it shows that English 3D materials are aligned to the WIDA ELD standards. Those are the same standards on which our students are assessed on the annual WIDA Access for ELS assessment. Each of our middle school and high school multilingual teachers received a preview copy of course B and C, and we have those available for the public to review as well. And they also had access to the 2 volumes of Language Launch resources, which are online. Language Launch 1 meets the needs of our newcomer students. Generally, those are students who are performing at the lowest level of English proficiency, and Volume 2 is that next level up. Courses B and C are middle school and high school aligned, and they are designed for students in the performance level 3, 4, and 5 range. Encompasses all 4 of the language domains that our students are assessed on. We will be requesting a 5-year subscription for both online access and print resources, and this will help our multilingual learners continue to grow in their English language proficiency.
I have a question just about the 118,000 for the
Yes.
6. So this 5-year purchase, is that 118,000 per year, or that's for the 5 years? And even
It's
the
for 5
consumab-
years.
And
It's a
that's
lump.
including the consumables each year?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
okay.
Online access, the print materials, and then there are 5 years of consumables that will be sent to us, and we're paying for all that up front.
So that would be the only money we're paying for 5 years. What have we been using now for a multilingual? Nothing.
That's a great question.
Great question,
And
really.
it depends on the teacher and the
Yep.
day and the year and what they can get their hands on.
Yes, exactly. We have not had anything formal.
Right.
In the way, and our population continues to grow, so our need, it gets greater and greater every day. As you know, through the strategic planning, we ended up adding 5 additional EL teachers. We probably could add 5 more and still
Could easily.
wouldn't, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's definitely a need that has been neglected, and these will be through grant funds, so this is not part of the operational
No,
budget.
I just
Yeah.
was.
And actually, the previous one was also through grant funds and not through operational.
The lead, it's really exciting that we could use leads while we have it to get something
Last
for
little
5
bit. We're
years that we don't.
squeezing out the last
So,
little bit of
so
leads.
what Ms. Passon brought is really gonna help specifically with the gender gap issue. I think that kind of glossed over that part
Yeah.
with the male protagonist, that I know that was important to the board. And then this need for the curriculum, and to be able to do that through the grant and relieve our operating budget for years is huge.
Thank you. Is there any other questions or comments? Thank you for your time. Thanks for
Thank you.
waiting.
Sure.
Ms. Gass.
Hello again. President Bennett, Vice President Bennett, Dr. Shalings, Dr. Kibler, members of the board, the executive team. I'm Whitney Gast, the CFO for Queens County Public Schools. I bring to you tonight for information just the draft budget book. Again, this was presented to you informally at the last meeting. This does not include the additional funding that the commissioners have promised. We are waiting for their formal budget on June 11th, and then after we have that, we will present to you our final budget with the additional funding.
Well, thank you for answering the questions.
Oh, you're welcome. Yep, and I was
We were
gonna say,
sent
and-
some by some
Oh, of
board
course.
members. Anyone else have any questions?
I did have, go ahead.
No.
Okay.
No,
No, go ahead. Well, it's actually more around the budget. I was wondering if Dr. Salins, because I know this has been an issue that has been repeated over and over again with, mismanaging of the budget and saying the money, where is it going? If they could explain a little bit about the COVID monies drying up and the grant, some of the positions, that were funded by grants, that they're gone. So-
Absolutely. Yeah, so we actually received 3 ESSER grants. Each one of those grants were designated to do different things. One was specifically designated to reduce the gap that students had. One was for supplies and PPE, everything. PPE, all the new words that we learned through COVID. And those funds are at a cliff right now. So we did have some positions that were in ESSER funds. Matter of fact, initially our 5 EL teachers were in there, and then we were pulling them over into our operating budget over the course of several years. We had 2 float nurses in our ESSER funds.
Permanent subs.
Permanent subs were, we had 16 permanent subs in our, and those funds have dried up, so those positions have been eliminated. We also had leads money, which had several positions in it. And again, that leads money, we're at the very last tail end of the leads money. We have less than $250,000 out of almost $7 million that we have spent. We've done great things with that. It's coming down to the wire, and we're just trying to do those amendments so that we can squeeze out the last little bit of that money and make sure we do good things for kids. But that cliff was real, and it hit us hard, and we knew it was coming. It was hard to brace for it. It was hard, especially in combination with, the blueprint mandates, which were significantly underfunded and continue to be underfunded. So our hope is that we will see increases in our state monies next year in order to help us. So we don't go back to what Mr. Smith was saying, where we're in the same exact position as we were this year. So basically 4 major grants. There's a couple others that we got in there, but 4 major grants that brought us millions and millions of dollars.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I just want to say that this budget book, just for everyone, does not include the $1.2 million of additional funding that the commissioners have publicly said. But I want to make sure that's very, very clear out there. So when the budget comes back to the board on the 26th of June, it will have the additional $1.2 million because we will have had the official approval of the commissioners on June 11th with their budget. So
And that could be sent us at least a week in advance so we can look at it.
yes, that will be to the board by the 20th,
Yes,
close
that
of
was
business on the
promise.
20th.
I'm
We have a
working on it.
meeting on the 26th. So that will be posted for the board on the 20th, which is a Thursday.
Yes. Yes, sir.
Anything else? We can move on to
Expenditure.
status report.
Status
I'm gonna say, yep, and then next
It
up.
already said it, so I didn't fill in the status.
Sure, next up are just the monthly expenditure status reports, and open to questions or concerns about, we're tracking what we predicted.
I did
last
about the
month.
supplies and material, the 210%.
I'm sorry.
Supplies and material under category 11, maintenance of plant, that were over 200%. Did just, are these those unexpected, like with the boiler or?
Fuel, probably.
I was gonna say it
That might
includes
be
fuel,
fuel.
and the cost of that has been growing.
Yeah, but I didn't, yeah, I guess. Is that what it is?
Well, we knew we were going to be over because we haven't put any money in that line item for, that's why we're trying to kind of right the ship in that category right
Okay.
now. So we knew we had been trending under budget there significantly, actually, since it hasn't been increased in 12 years, I believe, was the 12 years.
Right,
Yeah.
and that specific line includes like repairs to buildings and equipment.
And I will say that, that Ms. Gauss will be bringing forth to the board a series of amendments. We're very late in the school year, and instead of kind of putting some here and then putting another's this way, we decided we thought it was best to bring all the amendments at the same
For budget
time.
transfers.
Budget amendments, so that when you see monies where you shift from one category, where you're over one category, under in another, she will present to you and say, we'd like to move this money from here to here so that we can balance that. We do that every year, but sometimes we do it a little earlier. And so you'll be seeing budget amendments coming to you soon.
Definitely on in the July meeting, we'll have budget amendments for you.
Yeah, and so that'll help us to get down to our bottom line. And it'll also include the
Fund balance.
approval of the fund balance transfer from fund balance into operating budget. So you'll see all those amendments coming up.
Okay.
So be prepared,
Thank you.
be
All right,
expecting
yeah.
them.
All right.
And we've gone over this many a time with this budget, but a lot of times the public doesn't see everything. Category number 12.
Yes, those are our fixed charges. So that's where, those, category 12 are our fixed charges. So that's
Just for the public, can you just name a couple of them, because that's a
Sure.
pretty big number.
That is where one of the huge ones is our health insurance, which we under budgeted
Estimate,
by
yep.
millions last year. So we are working that we have.
I mean,
projected that in our
when we
budget
talk
for
about it,
25.
that's a benefit that,
Pay
it's
for our
gone up a
employees.
lot
Yep.
more than.
Significantly. We underestimated it, so we started out the year in the hole, and then our
Didn't get
costs
better.
increased. So.
Where were we
they
saying-
increased.
Right, I was gonna say, we estimated for 24, the estimate was $11.7 million, and right now we have already we're spending close to, we are at 15 million, no.
That's
like
$4 million.
15 million.
Yeah, 14 point something.
And for every, what was it, about 6% increase in health insurance, which we know adds about $1
We're,
million?
next year, we're using a 7% estimate.
Which is going to be over $1 million.
Over $1 million.
But I mean, that's what,
That's the employer cost of the health insurance, for the
Understand.
public to understand.
right,
Yes,
and we're
that's what
paying
we
the majority of it.
Yes, we are.
For many of our employees, we pay 100% of the employer
And
cost.
when when we get back to, inflation of 3 or 4%, and all this is going up like this,
And this is going up 7%, not 3 or 4%.
and our contracts and some other contracts we're signing, I could be wrong, but I think there's a cliff coming. Not a cliff, it's gonna
It's
be.
really,
it's-
it has been going up at the rate between 5 and 8% for 10 years. And we are getting to a part where we just, and that's why we did Everside Health Center, which we were the first ones in the state of Maryland. They are currently in the process of upgrading 4. I think they got approval for an additional 4 more through the state of Maryland because of the huge impacts that they eventually will have. It's going to take a few years to get there, but I think that, we are moving in the right direction as it relates to how do we kind of cap our insurance costs.
I think we are, but it gets back
It
to
just
like,
takes 10
it's
it's
like
gonna
when we
take
talk
5 to
about
10
green
years to do
schools
it.
and all this stuff.
Right.
You're never gonna save money because all you're doing is reducing how much money it's going up. And
That's exactly right. If you
and
can cap it, that's the.
So it's just something that, it's glad it's not our personal budget.
Right. There's other items in here include the employer cost of our retirement for our employees that we pay, workman's compensation as an example in here. Another one is our retiree insurance. So there are additional fees that we will always be paying, and that's why they are.
I agree with Kelly. I look at the percentages, they go up, but a high percentage on, $500,000 doesn't bother as much as a high percentage on a high number.
Yeah, exactly, the compounding factor of that, yes, indeed.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, public comment. Is there anyone signed up for the second
Or
public comment?
anybody else?
Not at this time.
All right, thank you. Then, if I have this right, the future meetings, we have a June 26th work session at 5 PM. And then we will have a July 17 meeting at 6 PM.
We might have a closed session prior to that. We don't know.
Yes.
Okay.
That's our regular meeting.
Yes.
It's the 17th.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, our regular meeting, we always have a closed, so the July 17th, we should anticipate having a closed session prior to.
Okay, is everybody all right with that? Anything else? Can I get a motion to adjourn?
Oh, no, I want to stay.
So moved.
Thank you. Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, thank you very
Thank you,
much.
that was a
Thank you very
long
much.
meeting, so thank you, board.